Doing that too? You get right in there. Well, they're all done.
So our thesis is like throughout history, Europe has instilled fear in neighboring regions and maintained tension, facilitating their growth as an empire. So we'll start with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So it's an ongoing conflict between the Israelis and Palestinians. It's a wide-ranging conflict, and it's part of the wider Arab-Israeli conflict. So the remaining key issues are mutual recognition of border security, water rights, control of Jerusalem, and Israeli settlements. So Palestinian freedom of movement and legalities concerning refugees. So the violence resulting from the conflict has prompted international actions as well as security and human rights concerns, both within and between both sides and internationally. In addition, the violence has curbed an expansion of tourism in the region, which is full of historic and religious sites that are of interest to many people.
Many attempts have been made to make the two-state solution, involving a creation of an independent Palestinian state alongside an independent Jewish state or next to the state of Israel. As recently as 2007, majority of both Israelis and Palestinians prefer the two-state solution over any solution as a means of the resolving of the conflict. Majority of Palestinians and Israelis view the West Bank and Gaza Strip as an acceptable location of the hypothetical Palestinian state in the two-state solution.
However, there are significant areas of disagreement over the shape of any final agreement, also regarding the credibility of each side and upholding basic commitments. The next conflict is the Indian-Pakistan border. So when India and Pakistan became independent from Great Britain in 1947, the various states, including Jammu and Kashmir, could accede to either country. An armed revolt of Muslim peasantry against the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir prompted the Maharaja to accede to India in order to gain military aid. And Pakistan objected to this, and the countries went to war. And the matter was taken up by the UN Security Council in 1948, which adopted a resolution calling for the restoration of order and withdrawal of Pakistani forces and the reduction of Indian forces. But India and Pakistan objected to the various provisions, and they went to war over Kashmir again in 1965.
In 1971, India intervened in Pakistan's civil war for the independence of Bangladesh. India and Pakistan came close to a war over Kashmir again in 1990. UN observers monitored part of the Indo-Pakistani ceasefire line. Current line was established by the 1972 Simla Accord and approximately follows the 1949 ceasefire line. India controlled part of Jammu and Kashmir, which became a state in 1974. Parts of Kashmir are controlled by Pakistan. In 1963, China and Pakistan made a boundary that India claims illegally gave part to Kashmir to China. Pakistan wants to set up a separate task force on Kashmir, while India has resisted that idea. Talks have made little progress due to the changes in respective governments. The recent efforts by U.S. Ambassador Richardson to resolve the dispute seem to be blown out of the water by Indian and Pakistani These are the lists of all the tensions in Africa since 1960. The East Africa food crisis was in the middle of 2011. Food crisis in Eastern Africa has been felt by Ethiopia, Somalia, and Kenya. Despite successive failed rains, the crisis has been criticized, unavoidable, and man-made. This warning was retrieved months ago by a warning detector. The international community and governments in the region have been accused of doing very little to help this crisis. In addition, high food prices have been forced out because people can't afford it. While conflict in Somalia has increased by the situation, 12 million people are in need of food, clean water, and basic sanitization.
So the Libyan crisis, Gaddafi's forces increasingly targeted civilians. The opposition appealed to the international community for the no-fly zone to limit or prevent the bloodbath that Gaddafi threatened. These mixed messages make the future for Libya uncertain, and civil war is how some commentators have already started to describe the conflict, which would imply a long, drawn-out conflict faced at the West Coast War.
There was a horrific genocide in Rwanda in 1994. This attack was planned for a long time, and how the international community was aware of what was going on, but they ignored it. And it's even present during the systematic killings.
And the oil in Nigeria, the Niger Delta in Nigeria has been the attention of environmentalists, human rights activists, and fair trade advocates around the world. The activities of large oil corporations such as Mobil, Chevron, Shell, and Piggyback have raised many concerns and criticism. A series of representative and corrupt governments in Nigeria have been supported and maintained by Western governments and oil corporations keen on benefiting the fossil fuels that can be polluted.
Eritrea and Ethiopia conflict. The relations further deteriorated into a war a couple years after Eritrea introduced its own currency in 1997. However, the major reason for the recent conflict is the fact that Ethiopia no longer has a border along the Red Sea, and therefore relies on going through other countries such as Eritrea in order to ship and trade goods along that line.
Done?